first moments that man stepped forth from the primordial ooze, he has struggled against
being a slob. What the hell? Where's the fire marshal?
the ultimate
disaster.
Does his voice kind of creep your shit out?
Why don't you lay off the cripple and get back to business?
Small budget, small puppets. That's how you save money.
Telling me happy to be with you.
She's a heretic.
A friend of mine was a producer on some shorts I did for the internet called The Statistics Show. And he found this script called Disaster.
We wrote it live action, went out on the town, got some really good buzz from different companies, got us a lot of meetings, but everybody was like, oh my god, this is like an $80 million script before you even add in the actors. And we didn't really agree with that because we always kind of picture it as like the spaceship hanging on a string.
They had to find somebody who could work and work cheap. And then we met Roy.
It was the fastest movie ever into production, I think. Like a week, we hooked dream. Like a couple of big bass. Don't print that.
One of the first times they introduced us to Roy, they said, it's important that you guys share a sense of humor. And I think, sadly, we do.
By the time you were done, there was even more sex and more party.
When I first got the job to do Disaster, my only hope was that when they wrote, a critic wrote something about it in the paper, that the word disaster wouldn't appear twice in the first sentence.
Roy would basically tell you how to do a shot, and then you do it completely different, and he seemed to like that.
You have a real knack for making this look difficult.
Roy as a director. Are we taping now? Can I?
Well, I loved working with Roy, first-time director, obviously.
Oh!
Yeah, working with Ron was really Rod. Working with Rod was great.
See, Nick, what's it like working for Roy Wood?
It's adequate.
It's adequate. It's adequate.
That was probably the best part of working on the film. Was Ross was such a great director.
Do it right, or you're fired.
Don't you think if you take 4 or 5 hours to set it up and don't light it, isn't it a kind of a waste of all those 4 or 5 hours?
I think lighting is overrated.
There's a lot of professionals in the industry that worked on this movie that did it because of this guy right here. And I mean that in all seriousness.
I loved being on Disaster.
Tell them the truth, Sarah.
It's been really fun and good.
He's a very tiny man.
How did you choose the actual height of the puppets?
It was based on my height.
And Roy's in there, getting ready to give direction, and you think you go to animate him because you think he's a puppet.
They basically looked at me as like their leader, take him into the fight,
As an animator, I'm getting direction from the director. Let me tilt the camera down.
I want 200 frames by noon, or we're calling immigration. Oh, you dummy! You're never gonna see that thing. This is the kind of shot he. Sometimes they would say, "Do I wipe front to back or back to front?" I mean, they asked me about everything. Just called me a cocksucker.
You do? How do you think you got this movie?
You want some cream in your cup?
Could you guys fucking keep it down over here? Some of us are trying to work.
The greatest part about the film was the people we were working with. Roy's good humor and, you know, making it a fun work environment. And the complimentary blowjobs that he gave.
Pretend you're doing something that a DP would do.
Oh, yeah.
DP, I might do this. We shot the film on Nikon still cameras, and at the time it was sort of cutting edge, and then of course Corpse Bride and everybody else is doing it now too. But they followed Disaster. We were the first.
It's amazing what you can do with digital production.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can instantly tell you need a reshoot of digital production.
Exactly. There were a lot of technical issues we had to get through. There is no live image, so we had to buy miniature spy cameras and shoot it through the eyepiece of the camera, make little rigs that would hold it right against the eyepiece, and then feed through that spy camera into our lunchboxes. So we were getting a really degraded image to begin with, but it was all we could do. What do you got going here?
This is another one of our multi-$100 rigs. One of them makes our ship go forward.
Okay.
And the other here is vertical move, up and down.
All right, let's see your shot.
There it goes. 10 seconds of movie magic.
I don't know about magic. Casey's expecting rain today in the studio.
I tried to make Roy follow the same traditional thing as filmmaking, whereas you get the actors in, which is in this case puppets, you block the scene, you see where they're going to move, then you set the camera, then you do the lighting, and then the animators animated it.
This is for not lighting a single shot!
How do you know how much to move it, Justin?
I consult my astrologer every morning.
How do you know how much to move it?
Woman's intuition.
Ah, now, that's better.
It was stop motion animation, and even though we were going for about 83%, Roy wanted it on ones, the animation, which basically means that every frame on the camera, you know, there's 24 frames in 1 second of the final film, is an individual frame. So take a frame, animator moves the puppet, take another frame, animator moves the puppet.
We're given exposure sheets, X sheets, and it has the dialogue broken down frame by frame so that we know what sound is made on what frame. I make marks on the X sheet so I know, you know, frame 35, the character's got to start raising his right arm. The X sheets that we had were maybe 3 seconds a page. It's like a roadmap so that you know where you're going.
It's going this way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I should have paid attention.
You're smoking again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. The last count I did was 165,000 frames.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm building sets for an important film called Disaster. Officially, I guess I was either the art director slash production designer slash... They just call me slash. Got about 20 bins I drug into the stage of broken toys, model parts, stuff that people have thrown out that I've harvested parts from. That's kind of like taking organs from a cadaver. Roy would come in again with a vision of what he would want, and we would figure it out on paper. And he says, "I think I like that." And I say, "Okay, well, I'll start working on it." And then he'll say, "Oh, Jim, by the way, can we shoot this like tomorrow? But make it look good." What does he think? These models just happen overnight? And you know, they don't happen overnight. Unless you work on them all night long. I'd want to be impressive, and so I would really knock something together pretty quickly. But unfortunately, they expect that every time then. And then it wasn't fun anymore. That's all.
Yeah, just building things out of wood, steel. It's a special breed of cat. And I'm just the guy to do it.
My mama told me to pick the very best one, and you are not it. That's the motherfucker.
Oh, you saved us!
We had probably 8 Harrys, and often he would be on 5 or 6 of the stages at the same time. This is how the heads worked on Disaster. We had 13 different mouths for each character. You had to have a whole range of mouths in order to get some acting out of these puppets. The only emoting that they can really do is through the eyes, mouths, and eyebrows. The eyebrows are clay. The eyeballs themselves are dolls' eyeballs, but we'd have to literally jam the eyeballs with an X-Acto blade to move them around.
The puppets were like held together with glue, like chewing gum basically, and it was a kind of painful experience, to be perfectly honest.
God! Why do you have to videotape my failure?
So when you make puppets,
Yeah.
what's your favorite technique?
Wire armatures with cutout foam bodies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's the best.
In the females, both Hanukkah and Sandy, we have little wires coming out of their chests with little paddles on the end. So when the animators needed to, only when they needed to, and the story called for it, could get in there and animate the boobs.
Just let me take care of something first.
We used KY jelly for like all of mocking, slobbering, anytime there was any crying or anything like that. Any water effects was all KY lube. So it was always fun to get our PA Clint to hop over to the local pharmacy and pick up 8 tubes of KY jelly. That was one of our favorite errands to send them on. Poor Clint, poor bastard.
Royal.
Are the goods?
Guinness or Dos Equis?
Guinness.
Guinness. This is my jail. Sudsy.
Nice, thank you.
You get a sense that everybody is working together on the same thing. And the beer really knits that together. They would come in with like 6 cases of beer. And a lot of times the same people would be there in the morning. They would just stay there at the stage. It's wacky.
Jesus Christ! I got a drinking problem!
I didn't realize the talent immediately, because I was a little baffled by the fact that he had absolutely no drawings or anything. But through the discussion process, I came to realize that he had some great ideas about certain things, and on other things he had no ideas at all. But I think he did have ideas for those things, but he just wanted to see what I would come up with first, kind of draw the talent, as it were, out of me. And that's just the way the man works. I mean, his genius is, it's amazing.
Where you been all my life, baby?
Felt really good.
Drink it!
He didn't always know exactly what he wanted, but but when he saw it, he knew.
Have you entered Biohazard Level 3 yet?
I think he wanted me to animate water, which is impossible.
Ladies and gentlemen, the master animator at work. There's only one man that could attempt the space ape, and that's the great and mighty Kemba.
All right, let's talk.
Let's see. About what?
What's your favorite scene you animated? I told him you were going to be a good interview, but man, you're lousy so far.
I needed a
shot of heroin.
Give me multiple choice. Oh.
I have a theory about the quality of the animator to the crazy ratio. If an animator's really good, he's usually a little off, a little crazy. And Kim's really good.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
I enjoyed doing the BM Man.
What else did you animate? Were you hitting the head with a hammer this morning or something? Kim did all the gay robot and the space monkey scenes. Why are you moving away, honey? And
I used to ask for motivation for being man. Do you remember the direction you used to give me?
I don't remember, no.
You don't?
What did I do?
Used to bend over and drop your pants.
Kim!
Quit horsing around!
I think I hold the record for the most reshoots.
Really? How many reshoots did you do, Matt?
Probably like 1 out of every 5 shots.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It was great being in an environment where there was no stress. There was nobody, you know, if you made a mistake, it was okay.
A delicate touch of Roy Wood.
That's right, baby.
Where'd you learn to animate with such delicate finesse?
My mom.
And in all seriousness, working for Roy was probably one of the better jobs any of us have had, because he's one of the few directors that has actually done animation.
That's the worst part of my job.
Nothing but the best for this disaster crew.
Highest tech.
Yes.
This is a
printer. It was actually our printer that we used to use.
And then our production company decided that we needed the best printer on the market, so they said just use this as props. So we did. Yeah.
And then they told us that, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. Can you put it back together?
Don't worry, it still works.
That's why we had to shoot this quickly.
The big joke around set was, you better do this or I'm gonna fire you. And we were always like, please, please. Is that today or later? Do I have to finish out the week?
Congratulations, you're fired.
Right. Can I go home now or do I gotta work out the rest of the day?
No, finish the rest of the shoot and then I want you to go straight home.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of people think it's, especially with stop motion, that it's really tedious, and it really isn't. When you're in the middle of a scene, it's like you're acting in miniature over time, just like anyone else. So if I'm in the middle of acting, saying I'm doing William Shatner, I'm concentrating intensely on what he's doing, and sometimes the time just flies by.
Look, I'm not gonna try and stop you, Kirk, but think about your wife and kids. That bitch took everything in the divorce.
The best moment is when you see a joke and you see it better than you put it on the page, better than you ever imagined it.
Really, like, beautiful physical comedy.
Roy would never have folded. Roy would, if we had all walked out, Roy would still be in his garage feverishly shooting right now. This film was going to be shot come hell or high water.
What was it like for you?
Oh, it was the best job I ever had. Absolutely.
Because you didn't have to really work.
No, I didn't do anything.
Tell people what to do.
Tell people what to do, yell at them.
Even though we never listened to you, we just,
Exactly. So it was perfect. I would yell at you and you wouldn't listen. Funny thing is at least I got a paycheck. That was the best part. So I could at least go into work feeling pretty good. So.
Yeah. You got paid?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot. See, that's not going to make it to the DVD.
Oh.
Congratulations. Cheers.
Congratulations to you.
Cheers.
Cheers. We did it.